What's up, guys? Part two. Wait for a couple people to join in. I don't know what all these buttons are down here. Oh, start a poll. What's this? That's filters. Get rid of that. That's chat. What's this button here? Save, mute. Okay, well, we're live. So we did this morning, and it went so well with this new feature, and I decided to do it again. I got all my chores and errands done for the day, so now we're just chilling and hanging out the rest of the day. So that's what's up with that. What's going on? Get some more people in here, and we will discuss food plots and land management and all that good stuff. If you're new here, give us a subscribe. I have over 700 videos. Zach, Harper's Ferry. Man, a lot of things happen at Harper's Ferry. Zach broke his back. We went fishing. Almost flipped a canoe. All kinds of stuff happens in Harper's Ferry. Just live twice in one day. I never do that. But like I said, this morning worked out very well. And even when the live stream was over, I still had people sending me messages on Instagram that I guess their question, they thought I was still live, but I wasn't. And they wanted some question answers. So we're doing it again. Zach, did your back ever heal up from Harper's Ferry? You're not getting ignored. I don't know I don't know what your um, channel name is. I said, what's up? Yeah. 27 people. What's up, guys? Zach, my back is broken. Yeah, I bet it is. That's what happens when you fall inside of a canoe. If anybody has any questions, food plots, habitat, work, now's the time of year to do it. There's so many things that you can be doing right now. Many states, you can actually start frost seeding now. We're in mid February. Some parts are still a little early, but some states further down south, you can do it. You can frost seed and get it done. So I still have probably a good solid month before I start frost seeding, but we'll see with the weather and all that. That's what happens when you are the captain of the canoe. That's right. That was a fun day, though. Still caught fish, even with a broken back. Colt, what is the biggest buck you ever shot? I get this question a lot. Um, the biggest buck I ever shot scored 185 inches, and it was a beast. And I think it entered the Maryland record book, and I think right now it's at number 17. But plenty of other big ones out there, but that's my biggest one, 185. Which is right there. You guys can see. That's my biggest buck. I'm not necessarily a trophy hunter. I talked about this morning. I just try to shoot the biggest one that's on camera. If that turns out to be a 120-inch deer or 140-inch deer, 200 inch deer, doesn't matter. I try to go after the biggest one that I have relative to that area, because it's going to change county to county, whatever state you go to, it's all going to change um, on the quality of deer that you have within that area. So that's just the way that it goes. There's a lot of guys, in Pennsylvania or even in parts of Maryland, there's big deer, but they have the mindset of that they're going to try to kill something that you would find out in the Midwest. And it doesn't happen. I shot a 10 point at 302 yards. Very cool. It's a long shot, but good. Eastern and outward. Why are the comments so faded? Eastern and outward. What made you want to start your channel? Uh, I guess it was probably 7 years ago, something like that. But I was doing food plots, and I was doing some land management stuff, and I just had people who kept telling me I should start a YouTube channel and start making videos about it. So I did, and I didn't really take it serious when I first started, because I didn't understand YouTube, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. But as time went on, I took it more serious and then progressed from there. Then I started a website, two websites, Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. And my primary focus is YouTube. YouTube has changed a lot over the years. Back in the day when I first started, it was very easy to get to reach your subscribers. It was super simple. Now they've just changed it and made it, a little bit more difficult. But that's with anything. That's just the way that it goes. So you have to kind of learn and adapt, uh, and all that stuff. So, what is your biggest buck? I just mentioned that. It scored 185 inches. It's number 17, I believe, in the Maryland State Record Book, number 17. Thank you. That's my biggest one. Next one would be that guy, which scored 165, almost 160, 164 in like a half or something. That's my next biggest one. But like I mentioned, I don't go after I don't try to shoot, what's not there. You got to have realistic and relative goals, that's within the area. A lot of people have unrealistic goals, and just doesn't happen sometimes. What state do you hunt? Maryland, Pennsylvania, and sometimes Kentucky. Um, I, Rarely Kentucky anymore, but I have hunted there. I've hunted Ohio. I've hunted um, Virginia, Delaware, but the two primaries would be Maryland and Pennsylvania. Let's talk about switchgrass. Um, Switchgrass is it's hard to grow. It's all about prep work, but it's good to add to a habitat program for extra cover and sometimes bedding. Um, it's hard to get established. Actually, it's easy to grow, but it grows very well even in non-fertile soil. Um, the biggest part is the prep work that it takes in order for it to grow. You got to have a good seedbed, no weeds. It requires a lot of chemical applications to get it going, and and all that. But it's very good to add to a program. Deer love it. It works well. Stands up. Snows may fall down, but it comes right back. So it's all about the soil prep when it comes to switchgrass. You don't need a bunch of fertility, soil sand. You don't really need to do that. It'll still grow. It's best if you do, but it doesn't need that in order to grow. What is your favorite caliber for deer? So I'm in a state in Maryland where, or I should say, a county in Maryland that I can't use a rifle. So I grew up shotgun hunting, which I've shot deer with 20 gauges and 12 gauges. In Pennsylvania now, where I hunt, which is a rifle state, uh, I just use a 243 Savage, and it knocks them down. Um, I'm not necessarily a rifle hunter, but that's what I use, a 243. I prefer to use a bow. Um, Rick S., what's up, buddy? Is there a herbicide that will kill broadleaf but not chicory? I got some hot chick. You're in luck. Um, there's a chemical called IMOX. I've talked about this many times on our podcast and YouTube's older videos, but I have a new video coming out this week to talk about it a little bit. But IMOX is a grass and broadleaf killer. It is safe for chicory, um, clover, and um, brain fart, but it's safe for both of those. Alfalfa, I was going to say, safe for all that. It's 7 to 9 ounces per acre. So figure out your sprayer and then just add 7 to 9 ounces per acre, and it will not harm your chicory or clover. It's safe for hot chick. It works very well. It's a little slow reacting, so when you spray, you may not see a change, in like 10 days like you typically would with like glyphosate or something, but just give it time, 15, 17, 18 days or something. It'll start turning yellow and brown, and then you can mow it out. It works very well. You can just Google search it, IMOX. There's, I don't know, I've seen like 4 or 5 different websites that sell it, and it's reasonably priced. It's a combo. It does your broadleaf and your grasses, so therefore you don't have to buy separate chemicals. Colt, what gun or bow do you use? I have a Savage 20 gauge for shotgun, Savage 243 for rifle. Um, Bow, I shoot a Prime Rise. It's about 8 years old, still working good, and that's the bow that I have. Compound. It's a compound bow. Eastern and Outward. What's up, buddy? I started my channel back in 2018. I have never done anything with websites, but I just wanted to do memories and to share my experience knowledge with other hunters and to hopefully become paid. Yeah, so being paid on YouTube is also a difficult challenge. It happens. You just have to figure out the algorithm and work with it and give it what it wants, and you can be rewarded. Websites, I have 2 of them. They work well. You have to build that up as well with SEO, which is search engine optimization. So you got to put like articles, blogs, and stuff on your website, so therefore it can be seen within Google searches. So when people search on Google, say they search for food plots or something, you have that ability for your blog to rank in those search engines on Google. So therefore, it can be seen more often, and that's how you build up your viewers and your analytics and stuff on your website. It's the same with YouTube. You can build up your SEO, your recommendations, and all that good stuff on YouTube to be recommended out to more people, which is also a difficult challenge. But it's achievable. You just have to stick to it. Josh, man, two live videos in one day. I'm a ball fire today. Um, yeah, so like I said this morning, I went live to test this feature, the new feature, vertical feature, and it worked well. And I was getting, after the live was over, I was getting blown up with Instagram questions. So I did what I had to do today, errands and stuff. And now I'm back home, so I figured I'd go live again, hoping to catch the people that I missed this morning. Josh, your deer still holding it? Oh yeah, it's a hold. I just stopped by my taxidermist Friday night to pick something up, and I checked on the 2 bucks that I have there, waiting to get mounted. The one should be done. Hopefully in a couple weeks should be done. The other one might be another 2 months or so. But I saw the antlers and all that he had. He was, I was kind of next in line working on it. But it's 2 bucks there. That I'm still waiting on. So that'll be cool. Trying to get those and then mount those up. Let's see. What is this here? Nope. Don't want to do that. Okay. I don't want to do that either. Live chat. Oh, where'd it go? Okay. We're back in. So yeah, I would say in the eastern states here, I had somebody ask me this morning on Instagram. The eastern states: Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Virginia, all these states here. They want to know when to frost seed, and you still have plenty of time because we did have some warm temperatures the past week or so in the 50s, and people are getting antsy and they want to frost seed. And you can do that now, but it's a smidge early. Typically, I wait until about mid-March or so, somewhere around there, and you can see the weather forecast, and you can see the lows are freezing and the daytime highs are above freezing, and that's a good time. But you can do it now. It's just best to wait a little bit because that longer that seed sits out there, uh, you know, you have runoff, it can get too deep, you have birds pecking the seeds away. So it can be done. It's not the worst thing in the world, but definitely should wait a little bit in the Northeast here. Josh, going to cut some trees this weekend, see if I can funnel them better and get better undergrowth. Yeah. Undergrowth browse is the backbone, man. You gotta have it. Food plots are always supplemental. Um, that's just the way that it goes. Rick S. Any thoughts on Wingman or Dirty Bird? I think I am going to try Dirty Bird this summer. Yeah, so um, I haven't specifically talked to Mike about those two blends yet, but just by looking at them, it's funny. I was just talking to Zach yesterday, and he's going to plant Wingman. And Dirty Bird, I like that mix. Years ago, I used to kind of blend my own stuff up a little bit, and we had sunflowers in it and some buckwheat and a little bit of soybean and things like that. But I really like Dirty Bird. When I get my new farm this year, I'm looking for a new lease. I plan on planting Dirty Bird, not necessarily for the birds, which will be good, but I'm going to do it for soil health. It's going to improve the soil, especially when you turn all those sunflowers and things back into the soil, and you have those big root systems um, and all that going back into the soil. Wingman, it's a possibility that I may plant that this year as well on at least one plot. We'll have to see how it goes, but I like them. What is this button here? Uh-oh. This feature, there's all kinds of buttons on here now, man. They always change. YouTube. Let's see. What is this? I don't know what this is. No, let's not do that. So yeah, so that's the frost seeding, and that I was talking about. You got plenty of time, guys. Plenty of time. Wingman, Dirty Bird, I like them. Eastern and outward, I planted wheat and radishes this past season. Deer loved it from October until January. Yes. Um, really, honestly, in like the northern states here, central northern states, and even in the northeast here, um, if you can plant wheat, winter wheat, and or rye, um, it's powerful in the wintertime because you fill the gap when there's no browse left. This stuff perks up in the wintertime when it's 35, 36, 37, 38 degrees. It perks up and deer hammer it. So you have, depending what state, you have months of food available to the deer when there's a limited amount of other food, which is natural browse. It's limited. So the wheat and rye kind of fill that gap. And then in the springtime, it's the first thing that greens up well before natural browse. So before you start seeing green on the leaves, it's indication of springtime's coming. Wheat and rye is powerful. It perks up and deer hammer it. Now, I still have a few cell cams out there. Um, and the past week, I would say, deer have been hammering the food plots. And in those food plots, I have wheat and rye. It's because that the warm temperatures perked them up and they became palatable again. So the deer are hitting it. So that just goes to show you the power of grains like that. Eastern Outland, I was hunting in North Georgia. Yeah, it's good all the way anywhere, really. Um, I've seen it in central Pennsylvania when I've had a foot of snow on the ground, and the deer come in and they dig their way down to the wheat and rye to get it because they're limited on other food, so they know what to do. They know how to survive, so they know how to get food. And if that wheat and rye is there, it can be a good nutrition for them this time of year. You know, December. If you plant it in say September, so you got September, October, November, December, January. They may not hit it just because it's very cold and it's dormant. But then if some states you get into like February, you get those warm days like we're having, and then you get into March, and then you get into April. That's 3 months extra of food before spring green up. My oats always do really good with bombshell mixed in. Yeah, bombshell is another good one. I've planted that last year before. Works good. I would so far like my favorite brassica mix from Domain. I would say is Showstopper. I really really like Showstopper. Uh, Sorry, had a phone call coming in again. My oats always do. Yeah, I hunt northeast Georgia, but I live in North Bama through. Oh yeah. Um, I've only been to Georgia a few times. Been to Alabama once. Um, Florida several times down that way, and it's different down there. Especially when you get into Florida. I mean, you guys have several more months of food of deer food compared to what we have up here in Maryland and throughout the central states. You have spring green up, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks before we do here, and it's just extra food. So I wish where I was at in Maryland that I was planting food plots in October, because of frost dates and stuff where I had many months of food more available to the wildlife. It would be a huge game changer for up here. But if you plant your blends right, you plant your food plots right, and you plant the right species, you can do pretty well with supplying food throughout the entire year. It's important though. Um, it's important in the states where you get snow to have food above snow level. So that's why I always say um, food plots are supplemental, and then your browse, woody browse, is the staple, is the backbone um, to all deer herds. So if you have, say, you did a cutting or something, then you have this huge, many acres of regeneration. You get the woody browse that's coming up, and it's above snow level. Those deer can hit that in those harsh conditions of winter. Um, and then your food plots would be again supplemental. So it's pretty cool the way how deer survive. They know what to do. Some people panic in the wintertime, but they really do. They really don't need our help in most cases. Now, obviously, if we're managing the timber, we can greatly help them out. Through timber management and having that regeneration effect for them to browse on. It all helps. I'm learning more and more about food plots as I've been here in the north. What should I know for more of an entry level? Eastern and outward. So honestly, in an entry level, never skip a soil sample. Even some guys that plant for years, they skip a soil sample. And I, to this day, I mean, I've been planting food plots for 20 years. And I remember being 14 years old when I started my first food plot. I got a soil sample. Like it's it's crazy, but it's a step that's skipped, and really the success of a food plot is based on a soil sample. And there's other things, sunlight and stuff like that, but you really need to know where the soil is. And yeah, I can go anywhere, sandy soil, clay, whatever it is, I can go anywhere and plant a food plot. I can plant any seed anywhere and plant a food plot. But is it going to be the best it can be? Probably not. There's certain things that work better in different soils, and with your pH and fertility levels, you really need to know where you're at with your soil and pH and organic matter and CEC and all that stuff, um, and try to build it up. That's the staple. That's where you need to start. I had huge bulbs where green machine with green machine. And I mean the radish as big as my forearm and turnips the size of softballs, but they did not touch any bulbs at any size, so the more above ground brassicas seem. Yeah, the bulbs on brassicas and things, sometimes deer are finicky with them. I've seen it where they don't eat the bulbs, and sometimes they do. Yeah, I can't really explain that, but that's just how it goes. They eat the tops more often. Then you go to another four properties over from where you're at, and then they tear the bulbs up. It's hit or miss, and it's all situational. I've seen that for many years. I have a property in Pennsylvania where they won't hit the bulbs at all. They just don't eat them for whatever reason. No matter on the maturity level or maturity rate that I plant them at, they just don't eat them. Did you hear about the Wendy's lawsuit? No, I did not. When the bulbs rot, though, it's good for the soil for sure. The bulbs dig in there and they have a root system, and when they decompose, that's all organic matter that decomposes in the soil. Absolutely. Yes, it is. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? I did about 2.5 acre food plot this year with the radishes and wheat. I didn't do a soil sample, but I did what I think was called bone bone meal or something to raise the levels. Yeah. Um, like I said, sometime like for instance, I planted a food plot years ago and I did a soil sample, right? Well, when it came back, it said that the pH was perfect. And I never planted a food plot there before. It said it was perfect and the fertility levels were perfect. I never touched the soil, but everything was adequate. So if you were to go off the standard of reading your food plot blend that you buy on the back of it, it gives you a recommendation. It'll say add 300 pounds of triple 19, right? Or it'll tell you to add 1,500 pounds of whatever it is, right? If I was to take that standard and add that to that food plot, add in 300 pounds per acre of triple 19, I just wasted all of that fertilizer and all that money because the soil didn't need it, right? So if I would have just paid $15 for a soil sample, I would have, I knew that, right? But I'm just saying, if you would have added that anyway, without a soil sample, you just wasted all that money. So if you just spent $15, you would have known that and you didn't have to add it. Now, other times, yeah, you go into an area and the fertility levels and pH is good. You just plant it without a soil sample, you get lucky, right? Majority of times that's not the case. Is you plant a food plot without a soil sample and it fails or it grows and then everything turns yellow or browns out or turns purple or you just everything's like stunted and or the first hard rain or something the plants just flop over. You could have saved all of that headache and waste of seed basically if you just would have spent $15 for a soil sample. It's the most overlooked thing. Soil samples and sunlight. There's guys that try to plant food plots in the woods, which is good. You know, it can be done, but majority of time it doesn't. And the plants don't have enough sunlight. So what happens is the without the sun, it can't grow a strong root system. So the plants will grow very fast. And then the first heavy dew or wind or rain, it plops over and then dies because there's no sun there to help the roots establish and have strong root systems. So without that sun, it can't do that. And then I'll get pictures on Instagram or whoever they send it to, and they'll say, "Hey, my food plot failed. What happened?" And I'll say, "My first question is, how much sun do you have? And did you get a soil sample?" And they say, "Well, it's in the woods. I have no sun, and I didn't get a soil sample." I I can't help you. You have to get sun, and you have to get a soil sample, and then come back to me later on and give me the results, and then I can help you out. So that's what happens, and it most times it's a rush. So people just want to plant a food plot and they wait till last minute and I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait to get a soil sample. Well, just prepare yourself. Prepare. It's the same with anything in life. The more you're prepared, the better chances of it being successful. Um, and it starts with a soil sample. So it's the most boring topic to talk about on YouTube. Nobody wants to hear it, but that's just that's just the truth. You gotta have a soul sample, guys. I've made dozens of videos about that in the past, and I don't think I'm gonna make any more to you know to emphasize it because I've already got dozens of videos on YouTube about it. So Rick asks, thanks for the info, Dave. Signing off. Later, bud. What else? Anybody else got any questions here? It's food plot season, man. People are excited. I've seen a lot of information on YouTube where guys are gearing up more. It gets more and more and more each year, but it's a very expensive habit. It's a very expensive hobby. So fertilizer costs and lime costs, all that adds up. So Really appreciate it. I learned a lot from this, and this needs to be talked about more. No problem. Danny Hall, best food plot for turkeys. I would say clover, but also chufa. Chufa is specifically planted for turkeys, and to my knowledge, deer don't eat it. So if you're in an area where you don't want deer to eat something, you can plant chufa, and turkeys will tear that up. It's probably the best thing for turkeys, but clover works very well as well. Brian, what's up, buddy? What is the best way to start deer management? Um, you just gotta hunt. You gotta have experience. Once you get out there, um, start scouting and learn what deer do, learn what deer like to do, and then it just progresses from there. Start hunting and um, make videos about it and learn it and all that stuff. Just write it off on your taxes. Just write it off on your taxes. All the fertilizer and lime. Yeah, right. Um, it adds up quick, especially if you start talking. Especially if you start talking acres. You start talking about acres of food plots. You better have a second job. Or wheat, the turkeys ate for some reason. Yeah. So wheat, rye, clovers, anything green. Um, you start getting green stuff, turkeys get in there, and that's not necessarily for the greens, it's for the bugs because you have the moisture content within that plot and you get the sun hits it, it starts baking off the moisture. You get that fog and stuff. The bugs get in there, and then the turkeys get in there and eat the bugs. So a lot of people think that they're in there eating the greens. Well, yeah, they are, but they're in there because they're buggers. They're scratching around looking for bugs. What is the best time to hunt in season? Whenever it's deer season. Usually that's from September until about January. The three best times to hunt is early season, the rut, which is basically mid-season, and then late season because the deer are focused on food and they can become easier to pattern. Good times with fishing lines. What's up, buddy? I've never on my channel posted a fishing video. Never. Out of 700 and I think 40 some videos, but this year I plan on posting a couple. What are your thoughts if a buck, say 2.5, doesn't have brow tines, he'll never grow them? Um, that's usually like a poor nutrition area. I've seen that a lot of times on like state lands where they're overrun, like parks and stuff where they're overrun with deer, is you'll see a lot of those bucks that doesn't have brow tines, and it's a nutrition and a genetic thing, because there's so many deer, they lack food and things like that. So I think I don't know, I'm not a biologist or something, but just from what I've seen, like I feel like I've seen, deer not have brow tines, and then maybe like a year or two later, they have brow tines. So I don't think it's a permanent thing. It could be, but it's when you start seeing that type of stuff, the antlers are real thin. They don't have a bunch of nodules at the bases and things like that. That's usually a nutrition and a genetic thing. What is your biggest deer? It's a 14 pointer. It scored 185 inches. And I think it's number 17 in the state record book in Maryland. Good times with fishing lines. Nice. I'm almost to 150 subscribers. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, and that state record, or not state record, but the state record book obviously changes from year to year. They put in uh, more bucks each year, so that 17 will change as time goes on. Um, but that's just where it's at right now. Uh, Danny, Danny Hall, what is the best thing you can recommend on starting a YouTube channel? Um, Obviously, start a channel that is, what you're passionate about. So if it's fishing, then start a fishing channel. If it's hunting, start a hunting channel. If it's uh, like a mechanic, you can start like a repair channel. Repairing cars or whatever it is that you're passionate about. Um, but the biggest thing on YouTube now is like consistency. So you have to put out like consistent videos, and you have to find like an audience that resonates with you. So as time goes on, you'll learn that, but you have to be consistent, and it's not easy. It used to be easy years ago, but it's not anymore. You have to be persistent. Takes a lot of effort. Um, Obviously, I'm not an expert at it, but um, you just have to be consistent with it and do something that you're passionate about. Brian, I'm 39. Quinn's small engine. What food plot mix would you recommend? Well, there's so many different options, and it depends. There's a lot of situations it depends on, but look at Domain food plots, food plot seed. They have a lot of mixtures on there. Showstopper, Overhaul, Comeback Kid, Hot Chick, um, all these blends. They work well. It's just which blend is best for your situation. Our genetics in our area has a bunch of 6 and 7 pointers, and these deer are between 6 and 9 years old. Yeah, that that happens. It's very situational where people are at, the quality of deer, the food value, and genetics. It's just I've seen, like I said, I used to hunt when I was younger. I used to hunt a lot of parks that was open to deer hunting, and it was parks that had just opened to deer hunting through like a lottery system, and the amount of deer that I saw that did not have brow tines and just pencily horn antlers, just small, big bodies, but just goofy looking racks, and that's what you typically see in those park areas. I have a 100-acre property. I have permission to hunt roughly 70 acres is the open field. Would you recommend more smaller plots against the woods or fewer bigger plots? Yeah, that question comes up a lot. Who asked that? Hunt 'em Good by JJ. Yeah, that question comes up a lot. And really, how I base it is number one, what is your primary weapon of choice? Is it bow or is it gun? If it's gun, then you could probably hunt those plots off the field a little bit to hide yourself and get a further shot. So you could have like a bigger plot as far as like a destination plot. The littler plots become like your little pass through plots, kill plots, and things. So those like you would use to bow hunt out of. But it depends where those plots are located, because an ideal situation, if it's very different though, because each property doesn't need large food plots. There may be in an ag situation where your property you can have several little plots, okay, and then after they hit those plots, they can go out to the big destination ag fields, and that's where they spend their nighttime or their evening throughout the night. In other situations, where you have those large plots, they become a destination food source. So you could have a situation where, okay, the deer are bedding on my property or bedding around there somewhere. They pass through a couple little kill plots as you bow hunt them, and then they go out into the destination plot that you have. So it really depends. And then also it depends on how you can have these food plots situated and then still maneuver around your property without spooking all these deer out, because the more food you have, the larger plots, you're going to attract a lot of deer. So therefore it becomes easier to spook all these deer, because now all of a sudden you have more deer there to spook. So it just really depends how your property is laid out. They're real smart and big bodies, but small racks and rarely come out in daylight. Yeah, that's a common issue. It's in South Carolina, mainly covered and surrounded by pine. Yeah, you get those big planted pine areas, which lack food because there's no sunlight hitting the ground. It's hard to say, man. You just have to figure all that out by how you can access it. Um, if you're lacking food, big wood settings, you're lacking food, then maybe a destination food source would come into play. So therefore, you can kind of up the nutrition in the area and have them a food source that they can feed in all night long, but also have a couple smaller plots to where you can use them to actually bow hunt to have better chances. Um, Glad I go to the north to hunt. Missouri to have a chance of good luck. So you're 39. Yes, I am 39. Thought you were in your 20s. No, I'm far beyond 20s. Which has bigger role on deer's rack, genetics or having the best of the best in food and minerals? Um, I would say genetics. Genetics plays a major role in that, and then the nutrition factors in and helps them reach their genetic potential. Um, but I think it's really just genetics. Um, some people may say differently, but that's just my opinion on that. Now, if you have an area where, say, you take a poor genetic situation, you have like bucks and does in a poor genetic area, okay? Well, if you transition those deer across state lines or whatever it is to an area that's full of nutrition, year after year after year after year after year after year after year, you could gradually, I believe, gradually change those genetics and start having a better uh, outcome. That's just my opinion. It's sad when you find two deer stuck together and one, yeah, that sucks, but hey, that is nature at its best right there. That happens on a daily basis, and there's nothing you can really do. Kenny, what would you suggest planting in PA that might compete with corn? Um, well, soybeans, that would be a good, like if you're looking for like a combo, you have the beans and then you have the corn, or even brassicas and corn. So corn would be hard to digest. So if you have the grains and the greens next to each other, that's a good combination to have, so they can eat the corn, hard to digest, and then transition to brassica plot, for instance, that's full of moisture, and they can kind of wash all that down. Last question before I'm going to go, and I appreciate your time. I'm subbed, and thank you for that, and thank you for answering my questions. But how high do you hang your stands? Like 18 feet? Yeah, so I usually like about 18 to 20 feet. 20 feet seems to be pretty good to where deer aren't going to really look up at you. If you can stay above that 18 to 20 mark, 20-foot mark, seems to be pretty good. I don't like getting much higher than that. My bow rope is 20 feet, so I know that I'm at that height when I'm hanging stands because I have my bow rope. So um, 18 to 20 would be perfect. I've tried beets, clovers, legumes. Yeah, I mean, all those work good. Blends are better if you can have like a blend of brassicas to where you have like 3 or 4 different varieties of brassicas in there. Same with clovers, or if you do like wheat and rye, have wheat and rye mixed in together. Welcome. Starting to get some weird comments in here. I appreciate, thank you, and that's what I was thinking. Y'all have a great day. You're welcome. All right, guys, I'm gonna hop off here. Thanks for hanging out for a while, and we'll do more of these. I'm liking this new feature, so we'll join in with you more and more, and we'll go from there. But Soccer for Life, what is your type of gun do you suggest? 243, Savage 243 all day long. All right, guys, have a good one.